If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. It's wild how every NFL season seems to have that one storyline that hijacks all the attention, no matter what else is happening around the league. Even when we're supposed to be laser-focused on playoff football, when the Super Bowl countdown dominates every headline, somehow a team like the Cleveland Browns manages to sneak their way into the center of the conversation. And this year, that spotlight has been shining directly on Myles Garrett, the Browns' superstar pass rusher, the face of their defense, and, according to many, one of the most dominant physical presences the NFL has ever seen. But what makes this story explode beyond the usual sports chatter isn't just about Garrett's performance on the field. It's about what his massive $160 million contract means for the Browns' future, and how Cam Newton just dropped a truth bomb that has fans and analysts debating from Cleveland to Carolina. Let's rewind for a second. Early February, smack in the middle of Super Bowl hype week, and instead of headlines about Patrick Mahomes or Brock Purdy, the Cleveland Browns were stealing the news cycle. Myles Garrett had reportedly expressed his frustration with the Browns' direction, or lack thereof, and had even hinted at wanting out. That alone would have been enough to spark endless talk show debates. But the Browns responded by doing what they do best when they're desperate to prove loyalty. They backed up the Brinks truck. For years, $160 million. The richest deal for a defensive player in league history at the time. That was their answer. That was how Cleveland said, "We believe in you, Myles." And for a moment, it looked like that might actually work. Garrett was all in. He recommitted. He came into the season hungry, motivated, determined to live up to that price tag and deliver something the city hasn't seen in generations, a legitimate championship contender. But fast forward a few months, and it's the same sad song playing in Cleveland. The Browns are sitting at 2-6. The offense looks lifeless, and even with Garrett doing superhuman things on the field, like that 5-sack explosion in their 32-13 loss to the New England Patriots, the results just aren't there. 5 sacks, one player, in a single game. That's the kind of performance that should swing momentum, that should define a season. And yet, the Browns still found a way to lose by nearly 20 points. That's when the questions really started bubbling. Can greatness like that actually thrive in Cleveland? Or is Myles Garrett destined to become another cautionary tale of talent wasted in the wrong place at the wrong time? Enter Cam Newton, the former MVP, the man who once dragged an entire franchise on his back to the Super Bowl, and now the unfiltered voice behind the 4th and 1 podcast. Newton doesn't mince words, and when he decided to weigh in on the Garrett situation, he did it the only way Cam knows how. Bluntly, passionately, and with a touch of that trademark swagger that made him one of the league's most charismatic figures. Myles Garrett is the game's premium disruptor, Cam said. And I say that even above Micah Parsons. If you gave me the two, I'm going with Myles Garrett. He's a Goliath of a man. But what did you expect, though? This was a perfect example of playing a game that you deserve to win, but you just didn't do it because it's about other guys. When you're a one-trick pony, there's only so much you can do before they cave in. That's Cam Newton for you, giving praise and criticism in the same breath. He called Garrett the best in the business, even better than Micah Parsons, who's often hailed as the future of defensive dominance. But Cam's larger point cut much deeper than comparing stats or highlight reels. He was talking about structure, about culture, about the reality that football, more than any other sport, depends on what's around you. You can be the strongest, fastest, most technically gifted player on the field, but if the rest of your organization isn't built to win, then all that talent eventually gets swallowed by mediocrity. And for Cam, Cleveland embodies that mediocrity perfectly. He didn't stop there either. Newton looked straight at the heart of the issue, the money. When you sign that deal, let's be real, he said with that incredulous tone that makes his podcast moments go viral. Staying in Cleveland, winning a Super Bowl in Cleveland, it's just not happening. Harsh. Maybe. True. Ask any Browns fan who's spent decades waiting for something that feels like a fairy tale every single offseason. Newton's not wrong when he points out that sometimes the money isn't worth the price you pay in legacy. Myles Garrett, by signing that record-breaking contract, might have guaranteed his financial security for life, but he might have also sealed his fate as one of those what-if players. What if he had gone to a team with a real offense, a real quarterback, a front office that actually knew how to win in December and January. Cam even drew comparisons to Max Crosby of the Las Vegas Raiders, another defensive monster trapped in a team that can't quite get out of its own way. "You'll want to make it about winning, but you signed back to the team," Newton said. "They don't have no changes. They're just putting makeup on. The girl is still the same girl. The guy is still the same guy." That line hit like a sledgehammer, because that's exactly what Cleveland has been doing for years. They change coaches, swap coordinators, add a flashy signing here and there, but the core dysfunction never changes. It's the same story, just with a new coat of paint every season. And that's what makes Myles Garrett's situation so fascinating and so tragic at the same time. He's in his prime, the absolute peak of his powers, and yet he's surrounded by a team that doesn't seem capable of matching his level. It's like watching a Lamborghini stuck in rush hour traffic. All that horsepower, all that potential, but nowhere to go. And no matter how many times Garrett says the right things about loyalty, about commitment, about believing in the process, eventually, even the most loyal player starts wondering if he's wasting his best years. From a broader perspective, Cam Newton's comments aren't just about Myles Garrett. They're about a recurring theme in the NFL, the tension between money and legacy. Every player dreams of the big payday, the generational wealth that changes families forever. But the true greats, the ones whose names echo through time, are usually the ones who prioritize winning above all else. Tom Brady left New England for Tampa Bay and immediately won a Super Bowl. Von Miller chased championships across teams and added rings to his resume. Aaron Donald got his money in his ring because he was in the right place at the right time, surrounded by a front office that knew how to build around him. Myles Garrett? He's stuck in a cycle that feels depressingly familiar. The Browns' defense can only carry them so far. Without a quarterback who can consistently perform, without an offense that can score more than 20 points per game, Garrett's superhuman efforts get wasted week after week. It's not just about sacks or pressures, it's about moments. Those plays that flip the energy of a game, that galvanize a team. But when those moments come from one man, and everyone else falters, it's impossible to sustain success. That's the frustration Newton was pointing out. He's been there himself. He knows what it feels like to be the face of a franchise that can't seem to figure out how to support its stars. There's a quiet tragedy in all this too, because Garrett genuinely seems like he wants to be the guy who brings glory back to Cleveland. He said it before. He wants to win there, not somewhere else. That's a noble sentiment. But the NFL is ruthless. Time moves fast, careers are short, and fans, no matter how loyal, eventually stop believing in fairy tales. Cam Newton's critique might sting, but it's a wake-up call, not just for Garrett, but for the Browns organization as a whole. You can't buy your way out of dysfunction. You can't pay one man enough to overcome a broken culture. And yet, this is where it gets complicated. Because from the Browns' perspective, what else could they do? You don't let a generational defensive talent walk out the door. You pay him, you keep him, and you hope that someday, somehow, the stars align. Maybe the front office finally nails a draft. Maybe they stumble into a quarterback who can actually deliver in crunch time. Maybe the system just finally clicks. That's the eternal hope in Cleveland. Maybe next year. But as Cam Newton just reminded the world, hope doesn't win Super Bowls. Structure does. If Myles Garrett really wants to escape the wasted potential narrative, it might not happen in Cleveland. And if Cam's words are any indication, the NFL community is starting to see the writing on the wall. You can be the biggest, strongest, most freakishly gifted player on the planet. But if the people around you don't know how to win, you'll be remembered for what could have been, not what was. That's the real cost of that $160 million deal. Not the cap space, not the guaranteed money, but the possibility that, in chasing the bag, Myles Garrett might have given up his best shot at immortality. Because as Cam Newton knows all too well, talent gets you noticed. Winning gets you remembered. And in Cleveland, winning still feels like the one thing money just can't buy. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. The NFL world is buzzing today with whispers that have the potential to shake the very foundations of the league. Sources close to team executives and agents are hinting at a move so seismic that it could redefine the Cleveland Browns' entire defensive strategy for years to come. Aaron Donald, the fearsome, game-changing defensive tackle long associated with the Los Angeles Rams, might be taking his talents to Cleveland, and the mere suggestion of this trade has set social media, sports podcasts, and locker room chatter ablaze. Rumors began circulating late last night, originating from a source that has historically proven to be reliable in breaking unexpected deals, though no official statement has been released yet. What makes this story particularly intoxicating is the scale of the alleged deal. According to insiders, the contract is described as mega in every sense of the word, potentially a record-setting arrangement that would place Donald at the pinnacle not just of defensive pay, but of influence and strategic value in the league. The mere thought of Aaron Donald lining up for the Browns has triggered a cascade of speculations about the franchise's ambitions. The team has been quietly assembling a roster that could be labeled as Super Bowl ready, and the addition of Donald would send a clear message. Cleveland is no longer content with being a perennial underdog in the AFC. Observers have long noted the Browns' defensive needs, particularly in creating pressure up the middle, and a player of Donald's caliber changes the calculus entirely. Analysts are already conjuring images of him commanding double teams, collapsing pockets, and creating chaos for quarterbacks across the league. The Browns' front office is rumored to have been negotiating aggressively, dangling future draft picks and an unprecedented salary package to secure Donald's commitment. It's a move that, if true, positions Cleveland not just as a contender, but as a team that could dictate defensive trends across the NFL for the next decade. From the perspective of league insiders, the timing of this potential move is intriguing. Aaron Donald has been a stalwart with the Rams, a player whose dominance in the trenches has earned him multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards and consistent All-Pro selections. Yet, whispers suggest that the defensive titan has been quietly weighing his options, feeling the pull of a franchise eager to build around his unparalleled skill set. Cleveland, for its part, has cultivated an environment that merges ambition with financial flexibility, offering what could be described as the ideal landing spot for a player of Donald's magnitude. Negotiations are said to have involved a delicate dance between the player, his agent, and the Browns brass, a series of private meetings and late-night calls that have fueled speculation that a deal is imminent. For fans who have been watching Donald dominate the Rams, the idea of him suiting up in orange and brown is almost surreal, yet tantalizing, especially when considering the ripple effects for the AFC North. Speculation around the specifics of the contract has only intensified the buzz. While exact numbers remain closely guarded, insiders hint at a figure that could redefine market expectations for elite defensive talent. There are murmurs of guaranteed money that rivals some of the league's most high-profile offensive superstars, alongside performance incentives that reflect Donald's unique ability to disrupt games single-handedly. This approach signals a broader philosophy. The Browns are not merely paying for past performance. They are betting on sustained dominance and leadership in the heart of their defensive line. The potential impact extends beyond the field. Donald's presence could influence draft strategies, shift coaching priorities, and attract free agents eager to play alongside a generational talent. Even the most casual NFL observer cannot help but imagine a defense anchored by Donald, where each snap becomes a calculated risk for opposing quarterbacks and offensive coordinators alike. The rumor mill has been particularly active around how this acquisition, if confirmed, might affect team dynamics. Inside sources suggest that current Browns players are cautiously optimistic, though some veterans reportedly wonder how a superstar of Donald's stature will fit into an existing locker room culture. Yet, there is a prevailing sense that his competitive nature and proven work ethic could serve as a galvanizing force. Social media has exploded with fan theories and debates. Will Donald become the face of the franchise immediately? How will head coach strategy shift to accommodate such a dominant defensive presence? Could this be the missing piece in a championship puzzle that has frustrated Cleveland fans for decades? While questions abound, the narrative is clear. Aaron Donald in a Browns uniform represents a seismic shift, not just for a single team, but for the balance of power across the league. Historically, Cleveland has had moments of defensive brilliance, but sustaining elite performance has often been a challenge. That is why the rumors surrounding Donald have struck such a chord. He is not merely a star. He is a generational phenomenon, a player whose influence transcends statistics and highlights. Imagining him in the trenches against divisional rivals, the Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals, sends chills down the spines of NFL enthusiasts and opponents alike. The chatter among analysts has moved from "could he join" to "how will this change everything?" Insider talk suggests the Browns' strategy involves leveraging Donald's presence to pressure quarterbacks, create turnovers, and dominate time of possession indirectly by shifting momentum. It's a chess move on a grand scale, one that requires a player of Donald's acumen to execute flawlessly. Financially, the deal is rumored to include layers of complexity that reflect both market trends and Donald's negotiating leverage. Guaranteed money, performance bonuses, and long-term stability are all reportedly on the table, creating a package that might set new standards for defensive contracts in the NFL. For a league often obsessed with quarterbacks and offensive statistics, the potential signing of Donald underscores a shift in narrative. Defensive dominance can command attention, reshape team trajectories, and redefine what it means to build a championship contender. There are whispers that the Rams were caught off guard, expecting more public discussion before any movement, and that the Browns' decisiveness could mark a new era of strategic aggression and team building. Analysts are already debating whether this move could trigger a wave of defensive free agency, with other franchises scrambling to match Cleveland's ambition. Beyond the spreadsheets and contract numbers, the human element of this rumor cannot be ignored. Aaron Donald has been characterized by teammates and coaches as fiercely competitive, yet quietly introspective, a player who lets his on-field performance speak volumes. Rumors suggest that a move to Cleveland appeals to him not only professionally but personally, offering a new environment, fresh challenges, and the chance to leave a legacy that transcends a single franchise. Fans are reacting in kind, with social media platforms lighting up with hashtags, speculation, and fervent debate over what Donald's arrival could mean for ticket sales, merchandise, and the city's football culture. If even a fraction of these whispers prove true, Cleveland is about to witness a defensive renaissance, one anchored by a player widely regarded as one of the best to ever play the game. While nothing is confirmed, the intensity of the speculation has created a unique ecosystem of anticipation. Sports talk shows, podcasts, and YouTube channels are dissecting every snippet of information, analyzing potential schemes, and projecting how opponents might react. The rumor has also prompted comparisons to other landmark signings in NFL history, with analysts debating whether Donald's potential move could rank alongside transformative acquisitions that have historically altered competitive balance. From contract implications to game day impact, from locker room chemistry to broader league influence, the chatter is relentless. If Aaron Donald does indeed join the Browns, it's not just a headline. It's the genesis of a narrative that will dominate NFL conversations for seasons to come, a story that blends ambition, strategy, and sheer star power into a spectacle that fans and insiders alike cannot ignore. In short, the NFL landscape is poised on the edge of a tantalizing cliff. Rumors suggest a bold, audacious move by Cleveland, one that could redefine expectations and electrify a fanbase long starved for defensive supremacy. Aaron Donald, if the whispers are to be believed, is not just changing teams, he is potentially changing the game itself. The sheer scale of the possible deal, the strategic implications, and the cultural ripple effects across the league have created a perfect storm of speculation and excitement. As the days progress, every statement, tweet, and press release will be dissected for clues, with fans, analysts, and players alike waiting with bated breath. One thing, however, is already clear. If these rumors solidify into reality, the Browns, and the NFL as a whole, will never look the same again. The question now is not if, but when, and how spectacularly, Aaron Donald will make Cleveland his new stage. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!